Welcome Neha. Welcome to your mock interview for Microsoft, and I hope you enjoy these next 45 minutes with me. Neha, first I wanted to introduce myself because most of the time you'll be doing the talking. So I thought I'll take my quick 2 minutes of glory here. So Neha, I am from Azure. I am from Microsoft, and I've been a product manager for the last 6 years. And I've moved various personas, moving from developer persona to a tester's persona to an AI data scientist to a data engineer to a gamer's persona. These have been my customers. So what you will also observe when you join Microsoft is that as a product manager, you'll become versatile, where you will be able to cater to any of these personas as you go about building your own products.
Right.
Any questions there? It's as short as introduction could be.
No, I'm good. I'm good here. Yeah. Right.
Got it. All right, Neha. So I'll just set the ground rules for the interview as well, right? So that you're aware how the interview generally proceeds in Microsoft. So typically you'll be going through 3 or 4 rounds. Each round will be a scenario based question. And when I say a scenario based question, it means that we will be providing you with an actual product scenario and an actual problem where we will brainstorm with you together to figure out how a product may come out at the end of the day. There are a few things that I want to tell you. Don't think of it like an interview. Think of it like a peer discussion with your fellow product manager, and we are just trying to figure out how the product may be. The product may be good, bad. It's just how our conversation proceeds. Do not start judging yourself that the product is not good or not bad or whatever the case may be. Just go with the flow.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, sounds
Definitely.
good. Okay.
Right. Sounds good.
ठीक है. So with these ground rules, I will provide you with a scenario.
Okay.
Okay. So I was thinking of a scenario which just popped out of my mind. Okay, I have a scenario at mind. The
Right.
scenario is this, Neha. See, I am a recent father. Okay. So because I'm a recent father, I have observed one particular thing that happens with parents. Okay. And that is food quality.
Okay.
When I am eating, I don't care about quality, but when I'm feeding to my kid, I am very, very particular about the quality of food. As
Right.
a parent, I want to make sure that the papaya, the watermelon, the apple, the cauliflower, the spinach that my child is eating should be of the most premium quality and free of any adulteration, etc. Unfortunately, today in the market, nothing guarantees me that. I would love
Right.
to brainstorm with you how can we go build a product so that you can eliminate this fear from a parent's perspective to serve quality food to their children.
Okay. Okay. Um. So you want to build, if I may repeat here, to understand the objective of the product that we want to build is um, we want to build a product which through which we can guarantee that it provides a high quality food to our children.
Yes.
Right? It guarantees the quality of food that is being provided to the children, right?
Yes. Yes.
So aim or the objective is quality. That is 100%.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Could you give me a few moments to gather my thoughts on this? How do I want to tackle this?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, I want to have a few clarifying questions before I go further.
Sure.
When we speak about quality, right? So quality is to be measured against various parameters. I want to define this quality with a supreme clarity here, right? Uh, so what do you mean by quality? Do you have a certain thing in your mind that this is what I define as quality?
That's a great question, huh? So I'll tell you as a parent because I've just put myself in the driver's seat here. So see, when I'm I'll just take an example. Let's assume I am feeding a papaya to my kid, right? I have zero idea whether this papaya is good for his or her health or bad for his or her health. There could be adulterants mixed. What are the kind of things that have been put inside the farm while they are growing such a product? I have zero idea about it because I've heard of so many cases. Like my doctor told me, do not feed your child papaya during these days. Do not feed your child watermelon during these days because they inject something in it. How am I supposed to know? Right? And because of it, for 1.5 years, we haven't fed him a papaya or a watermelon. Then certain fruits only you should consume. Like I want to do away with that fear that I can't feed my child a 10 out of 18 fruits because they could have adulterants. Or similar thing with the vegetables as well. That's what I
Okay,
feel.
okay. So what I'm hearing here that one, that as a parent you don't have any idea that what is good, but you want to feed good. When you say that I want to give a high quality or good quality food to my children, to my
Yes.
my uh, daughter or son, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you don't know what is
Yes.
good for, but you want to feed good.
Yes.
One vague idea that you have, it should be free of adulterant.
Correct.
Okay. Another thing that I want to add, that definitely you want to it to be full of nutrient, which should be good at his or her age, right?
Yes.
So you are giving her or him papaya because that should be given to him or her at this age. And with that assumption you are giving it, and uh, that should be free of adulterant.
Yes.
So it should be of no adulterant, and it should be full of nutrient, and you don't know.
Yes.
So main thing is you don't know. So one this with this kind of I'm gathering this because I want to come up with a your actual pain point.
Yep.
I'm been building up the pain points that a father that goes through or a parent goes through. And but before I come on to the pain point, I want to take a step back and I want to come up clearly to the user segment or the that's what I want to spell out first,
Sure.
right? So the thing is, what I understand here, while the final consumer of the output of this product would be the children, that the infant children, to be very specific in this particular case, which is of the 0 to 6 month age, if you said that what I have heard, and it can be further taken up to the children of higher age also. So the but the user segment is also the parents, because it's the parents who are the decision maker what food is to be given. So so the output would be the recommendation that what the food would be given to the children. The and basis that recommendation, the food would be given to the consumer, which is the children.
Correct.
So now if I see the characteristics of the actual of this user segment, if I speak about, which is like they are educated. I'm talking about the parents here, right?
Sure.
So they are of the age 25 to 35,
Sure.
and they are educated. I'm talking here right now about the urban population. I can speak only also about the rural segment or the semi-urban also. This product can be used for them also. I'm not discriminating only the urban population. But let's say they are, to some extent, they are educated.
Sure.
They have the basic education, or they are highly educated also, but they don't have a specific education on the diet side. So that's why they don't know that what is the nutrient value of the various type of the foods. So they don't know what is the nutrient value of the types of the foods. The second thing, they have like what I have already spelled out earlier. They have this motivation of giving the best of the good quality food to their children, where that should be free of adulteration. So for that, different type of basis, a different type of wallet size that they have, they can afford the different foods. They can afford the high supplement. I mean that various type of foods that come into the market, where like milk powders, or the, I would suggest that the supplements, or only the fruits, that some high value fruits and the normal basic cereals that can come. So that's a different thing, but they can afford on the different.
Sure.
So I'm just spelling out the characteristics here.
Sure. Understood.
But major point I have already, the pain point that I have already spelled out, that they don't know about the dietary nutrient that are there in the various types of the food. That pain point I have already spelled out. Second thing, that the pain point is they don't know how to check for the adulterant in the food.
Yep.
Nutrient value, they don't know how to check. They don't know how to check for the adulterant, and they don't know how to mix and match and make the best combination for the of the various foods available, so that the daily required nutrient value can be supplied to the children.
Yep.
Right? So
I don't know about that last statement that you made, huh? Whether I don't think so. Parents don't know what needs to be fed. Like they know the nutrient value of food. They don't know whether this is the right product or this is the right product. They know that they need to feed carrots, but they don't know which carrot to pick. So I just want to clarify there, huh?
okay, so that's what I'm saying. There are two parts of this don't know thing. One is how much is the need of the child? What exactly the nutrient value that is to be fed, right? Combination in terms of vitamin, protein, or type of the nutrients to be fed exactly. Okay, that's one. What is the need of the child? That's the combination that they do have a idea about it through the doctors that they meet in the initial date, the pediatricians and all that, who guide them that you should be feeding them this kind of a thing, but they don't have the exact idea about it. They do have some idea, but I'm saying that some idea, not the exact thing.
I
Second,
don't want us to go there. So
okay,
let's
all
not
right.
go there. That I don't
Okay.
know what needs to be fed to my child. I
Okay.
know what needs to be fed to my child, but I
All
don't
right.
know what product to pick. Otherwise, we'll end up building a totally different product, which is not primarily solving the need that I'm articulating here.
All right, makes sense. Makes sense. So we will focus on the other side, that but whatever my product, focus on how to figure out about the food, everything about the food that is to be fed.
Yes.
So I till now we have figured out about the pain point, that this is the pain point that I want to focus upon on my user segment, that this is the problem I want to solve, and this is how my product will focus upon. Now, how I will focus upon it, right? The solutioning part. Could you give me a few more minutes to think about it? That how I will solve it? Right. Thanks. Okay. 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 So this product, right? This would be a physical product which would have a measurability to physically inspect the food item through the mass spectrometry. So ability to classify the food based on food component, the composition of the food item that is fed into it, and give an output, what is the composition that the item that I have provided in it. I'm not going into the the details behind it, how it will work and what are the feasibility around it. But the idea is that the feature that it will have, that it would be able to identify the composition of the food item, whatever is provided into it, and give a broad idea that what is the ingredient of that food on a high level, that this is the component that the food item is made out of. On the broader few categories, which categories are like the broader categories of the nutrients, like vitamins, minerals, or that calories, and that I would decide basis a discussion with the subject matter expert in the area. So I don't know the very name of the categories because I'm not the subject matter expert, but that would be the basic feature of that product.
So basically you're saying it's like some sort of a handheld device by which
Right.
I can maybe place a papaya and figure out its calorific nutritional value and figure out whether it's good or not, is it?
Kind of. Basically, the I would suggest that there would be a few categories, and if any component of it is not falling it in the preset category and something is beyond that category, which is not into the preset category, then it will generate an alert that there is something which is not, which is there, which should not be here, which would be an adulterant alert. So see, foods in typical, I would suggest, I would say the whole premise that I'm making this handheld device, that food items are typically made of 4-5 categories: minerals, calorie, that carbohydrates, minerals, vitamins, proteins, and let's say XYZ, 4-5 categories. Okay. If a food item, papaya, is containing anything beyond than that, the device should generate a 6th category. After decomposing everything in these 5 categories, there remains anything on that, then that simply means that this food is containing something which should not be fed to my child, right?
Okay, very interesting. So, okay, let's go deep into this product. Let's assume it's a handheld product. What do I do with this product as a parent?
As a parent, that gives me an alert that it contains something which is not natural, right? That means I should not be giving that food to my children.
Imagine, help me visualize this. Huh? So I have a product in my hand. What do I do? And I have a papaya in my hand. What do I do next?
I have a papaya in my hand and I use this device, and it gives me an alert that I should not give this papaya to my child.
How? Like, how does the product know about the papaya?
How does the product knows about the papaya? Sorry.
So I bought the product. I brought the product from the market.
Correct.
This is my day 0. I see the product. What do I do next?
I take a piece of it. Okay.
Piece of papaya.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it into this handheld device.
Okay.
And
what is the picture of the handheld device that you have in your mind? I want to be with you. Right now, I don't think so I'm with you.
Okay. So this, like I said, that this is a spectrometry based, mass spectrometry based handheld device, right? So when I take a piece of it and put it into the input segment of this handheld device, so the way this mass spectrometry based devices work, they took a sample of it and they process, uh, they are connected to definitely to a, uh, so if it is a handheld, definitely the battery based, or maybe sometimes they are electric uh, devices also, which are plugged to some electric point and kept at a point in our houses, and they give a marker that alert, or the output that this is uh, maybe a red light over there, that this is red or green, that it is all categories which we have specified: carbohydrate, protein, XYZ. They are all those are there in this whatever input you have, sample that you have provided or not. So once
Okay.
that output have come after analyzing that sample, after that I give that papaya, rest of the papaya, to my child or not. That's what I'm thinking. If it is a mass spectrometry based device, okay, and that's the that's what I'm thinking here. The other features also can be there in this device, which I have thought about it,
Please do.
right? The ability to compare, once it has done this mass spectrometry based analysis of that sample, then it can also have the ability to compare with the already mapped charts of nutrient value that should be provided to a child. So the sample has this much protein, carbohydrate, broad values, because I understand that actually the feasibility of doing and the going into the deeper level of that is very difficult, and that cannot be happening into a small device at home. So as a product manager, I need to think back of my mind onto that aspect also. So very broad mass spectrometry I can do, category wise only. So only already map chart that this much protein it was there. So whatever values it gave me on those categories, I can have those values and show it onto a visible output reader, whichever format, and I can check that this much gram, 5 grams of input sample showed this much values of these components, if I can. And this depends upon the all scientific things. Because this type of a product is highly about the, I mean, all these scientific things are coming into picture because this is a very food nutrients related product. So I'm sorry for all this scientific things that are coming into picture. Another feature that I've thought about is ability to make, I mean, this is a suggestion that this particular um device can also make, basis rule base small uh, chip based small in I mean thing, that ability to make a combo of suggestions, basically, that food to be fed uh, various combinations of let's say we have made a number of samples into it, right? Papaya, banana, XYZ, and with a using all these 5, 7, 8 samples, there can be combinations that can be made, and it can give a combinations suggestions that to make your these kind of combinations you can feed to your children to reach to a certain nutrient value in a day. So papaya is high on let's say protein, while banana is high on vitamin. So if you combine these two, you will reach to a certain level of nutrient. Okay. While we had both, and I'm talking about achieving our both goals. We had both goals, giving the high nutrient food as well as adulterant free goals. So first one was the adulterant free food, a goal achieving, and second one is nutrient free. So these are the features which are working towards that. I'm talking about these features because of that. And ability to monitor the daily, yeah. So if I'm monitoring that what type of samples I have fed in the day or a certain duration of time, so what kind of nutrients that this mass spectrometry have analyzed, and what kind of, so some food are high on carbohydrates, some food are high on protein and vitamins and new minerals. So after monitoring, right, I can come up with the suggestions that your food has been low on this particular nutrient. So you should focus on this kind of food too, because otherwise you are leading to deficiency. So these kind of suggestions. So that will lead to the overall goal that my child is fed with the full overall nutrients. So, so main feature is that mass spectrometry, which is a highly scientific thing, which needed to be with more subject matter expert, and basis that I can use further, build up more features. That's what how I would design this. And there would be some success matrices that number of false positives, because the basic feature is based on that how many times that I have caught the real adulterant in the food, right? So false positive, or the, I mean, that's a thing that I have to check, right? So that is a key success parameter that I will have an eye upon. And a number of times that adulterant had been caught or not, number of times the nutrient value that was shown, that was really that value or not. So mass spectrometry, which I have used to see the component value in the foods, that has been shown correctly or not. That would be my primary success meter. And for rest of the features, I can also define successively my success meter parameters. If you want me to do that, I can do that. Please tell me.
So before that, I have a few questions.
Right.
Okay. So question number one is, when we are building this mass spectrometer, right? This is a very scientific product now.
Correct.
How do you think about building and releasing it? Because we'll have to go through a lot of hypothesis validation, a lot of testing, a lot of research. So this becomes a classic research-based product. What's your thinking around just launching this? What would be your go-to market strategy?
Okay. Let me think about it. All right. See, while this is the design which talks about, this is a superset design which talks about all the product, all the food categories, and this is the nature of the problem, which if I want to tackle the problem, all the categories, carbohydrate, protein, everything in one go, right? then it becomes a massive problem, and the device becomes very scientific. But if I break up the problem, and this is how what would be my go-to market strategy also, which I will break up into pieces and into various cuts, I would suggest. Maybe for an advanced markets, right? I would like to tackle which where the customer or the parents, and I understand that no parent is ready to, and they should not also ready to compromise with the health of their child, but for the sake of uh, access to the market or making this product reach and the wallet size that I talk about, right? Not everybody is able to uh, afford the cost of this kind of a device. Let's say I talk about milk, right? In the case of milk, the quality of adulteration is checked very differently. There, this carbohydrate, protein, and all those things will not be tackled this because it is a liquid thing, and that that device will be taken care differently. Very different. So I will different type with a different type of foods, right? I will start making this device on a smaller scale. That would be my one of my go-to market. Easier type of foods, so solid, liquid type maybe. So milk is a very staple thing for any child, and in this segment, right? Milk is a major food, correct? So I will start with the milk category, and where I assume that doing this mass spectrometry concept is easier, cheaper, and the technique would be different, and it can be launched to a um, like I said that to a small. I would go first into a one geography and scale it up to see the success. So that's a way of me assessing the acceptance in the market. Correct. That would be my market, and that understanding the acceptance toward my product also. That strategy would be. But I would go with the type of the food also, right? So multiple things I will apply into my go-to market thing. Scientific, the answer to your scientific nature of the product, I will tackle in this with a easier to do thing first, which is like I said, milk. The techniques in this area is very different. The gravity of the milk, which is considered the major adulterant here is milk. In the milk is water, right? So that's where I will go.
Understood. What is the biggest challenge that you see while building this product?
Okay, the biggest challenge again, what I can think around. See, the challenges. Um, 2-3 challenges that I can see, right? My design of the product is changing or highly dependent on the type of the food that is being applied here. And the challenge is, though I can try to categorize foods as much as I try to, right? There will be always a trade-off. Good thing is in the case of children, there is some solace that only a certain kinds of food are provided to children, natural food, fruits, vegetables, cereals, milk. We are not giving them fast foods or spicy foods or all that categories. So there is a solace that 3-4 categories of foods are given. So good thing is that, bad thing is whatever areas that I spoke about, they also have a vast subcategories into that. So there is a dependency on the design of the my whole thing. So a scientific breadth that is to be applied. The challenge is this in my design, number one. The second challenge is geography wise. So the food varies and the children also vary. The genetic disposition, the type of food they consume, the parents' inclinations and what they think as a nutrient food. So Indian baby, the nutrient value to be fed to an Indian baby versus to a American baby, basis their difference in the genetic differentiation or all that, there is a small differentiation. I would not say very big, but yes. So geography wise, there comes a differentiations, small differentiations, but yes. Okay. So that's not a global product to some extent. The second challenge. Third, I would suggest another challenge is that I see in this product that it can face is yeah, people, because it's an adulterant that we are talking about. Adulterant is done by people. Adulteration is done by people. So adulteration in this product, who finds the adulteration, can also be done. If I have to make that design itself adulteration proof, once it goes into the market, maybe that comes as a challenge. I don't know. I have to look into that. So
I hear
at this
you.
point of time, these many challenges I can see.
I hear you. I hear you. The one thing that you said around success metrics was, uh, I would love to know whether they were false positives, right? If let's say I have fed the papaya to my instrument and it says it has lead, hypothetically speaking, how would a parent know that the device is saying right or wrong?
Right. See, now this problem, right or wrong, what I said that my MVP at this point, I said that that would show the categories and one category in the end that it is not containing what it should contain, the major categories, right? It can show in my MVP that it contains something which it should not contain, the sixth category. Now it contains or not at that point of time, they may not know. If you really ask me. Now if the product is so advanced, whether they parents will know that it contains lead or not, that would be a very advanced stage of a product, because the
But
mass
then, but
spectrometry
basically,
would be at that level which would tell that what element it is. See, mass spectrometry works on it that it analyzes the component in the element periodic table and tells that which element it is. And it says that it is lead, the 52nd element in the periodic table, right, or whichever element number. That is a very advanced level of mass spectrometry that this particular device it is doing. So whether it is or not, that works on the this statistics works on the confidence level. If really goes, if we go behind the curtain, and it shows about the confidence level, that 96% confidence, that. So I don't know that whether only the second test would be able to do it, uh, whether able to validate whether it is really lead or not.
No, Neha, my question was, how will you ever validate false positives? How would you know that this was a false positive? Because we assumed that a customer themselves don't know,
Correct.
and the customer is testing. Whatever we say for the customer, that's ground truth.
Correct. Correct. So how would we ever get to know?
My focus was not lead. My focus was there's a green which is good, there's a red which is bad.
Right.
Papaya bad, papaya bad, papaya bad, papaya good. How do we know the three reds that came up were actually red or not?
Okay. In such a case, I would say that I collect the sample. I set up um a chain, a mechanism as a provider of this device, that I also set up a alternate chain of sample collection, that my device has given you a rate. Let me dig more about it. Give me this sample and let me dig more. I collect that and I lead more analysis and do more tests about that, whether the presence of lead is confirmed or not, with the another set of different tests for the presence of lead. Not
Got
the
it.
same test, but the different test, and I will dig more to
Got it.
confirm and give the customer the real actual information, so that they do not go back to that supplier again and expose their child to that kind of danger, because it's a serious danger that they are exposing their child to.
Understood. My last question, I'm just taking a look at the time. We have around 10 minutes left. My last
Yes.
question is, can you help me draw some sort of a technical architecture diagram for this spectrometer, where especially you told about there is data with respect to the reds and greens, there is data which is telling you to monitor daily nutrients, there are then suggestion for nutrients, then they are saying, then you're saying, oh, this may be leading to some deficiency, etc. How is that architecture diagram looking in your mind?
Right. Can you give me a few minutes to do
Yes.
that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this system is very simple. Okay. If you ask me, this device, it takes the sample, physical sample, within the handheld device, or this which is plugged, right? It crushes the sample, and with whatever mechanism, it measures the wavelength of the physical material, right? After that, the actual game works like that. It relays this data through to the server, which is at the back end. For that, like a typical technology that works these days, that it relays that data through internet package, which the way they are sent and received, right? So, I mean, collects this wavelength data, converts into the packages. Packages are sent. At the server end, all the processing happens, which is matching with the matching with the received package wavelength data. Understood that, okay, it matches with the lead or carbohydrate or protein or whatever wavelength basis data, and the result is sent back. This is which this first that this is this element, carbohydrate, protein, whatever combination that happens. All the processing happens at the back end. So simple, that architecture. Package sent, packet received over the internet, that protocol. The second portions, the second features that I talked about, recommendations or the comparisons or the monitoring and everything. That is simple architecture through which the IoTs happen, that you generate, monitor the data real time and send it over the internet protocol, do the processing at the back end on the servers, take it back and display on the user interface on the device. That's a simple architecture. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm just taking an inspiration from there.
So what about do you have something like a user profile data here?
User profile data, I would like to have the, like I said, in the feature where I'm making the combo of the food, which should be given to my child basis, where his or her daily needs have not been met. This is the previous samples I have analyzed, and I'm doing this comparisons or this recommendation engines I'm using. So there, all this is basis of the user profile data only, where I have initial, when I'm setting up this device, I have collected that my child is a female child of the age of 3 months, and I mean basic markers of the female child 3 months age that I have taken it. Other is coming on the top of my head, but maybe Indian female child is 300 pounds at the at the age that, I mean, when she is born, right? And European babies are bigger. I don't know. So basis that, the daily needs or the calculations that can be measured, or their nutrients need can be assessed. So that is a user profile data that can be taken in the initial time when it has been set up, and over the time how their needs grow, that can be pre-fed, and if they have a certain special needs also, sometimes babies come with some special needs, that can also be included in this device, pre-fed, that this is the typical their daily needs growing chart, against which the daily nutrients should be measured. So that's a benchmark which should be taken into consideration while all this monitoring, suggestions, comparisons should happen.
Keeping this in mind, this is going to be definitely my last question. When you were sending that information regarding the papaya or the cabbage, and the call was being sent back to the server, how would that API look like? What will be the key properties of that API?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Initially, you said that you have fed the papaya, the spectrometer ran, figured out what the wavelength was, sent that wavelength over to my backend. And the backend said that wavelength matches to such and such element. When that wavelength data is being sent to my backend, what does the API structure look like? What are the various name value pairs of the API?
API name value pairs. Okay. I would suggest that maybe wavelength wavelength value which this device has measured, right? Wavelength value. That would be the uh, that would be the sent input data from here.
Anything else? Anything else apart from that?
Of course, the item name, cabbage, right?
Okay.
Item name, I would definitely send the item name and the wavelength value.
Got it. Okay, with this, I'm going to take a pause. We have exactly 3 minutes left. Neha, I want to give you the time to ask me any questions.
Yes, I would like to understand as a PM what kind of qualities that one should own in the day-to-day work that help him succeed. One definitely should not close his day without doing these 2-3 tasks. That's another way of asking. So yeah.
So Neha, typically, right, a day in the life of a PM revolves around 4 things, at least mine does. And I would call these as 4 different quarters in which my time basically goes depending upon which phase of the product I'm dealing with. That is customer, product, partner, and my own team. So let's say if I'm just building a product, it's just initiating, right? Then I would be spending a lot of time with my customers trying to understand, validate my hypothesis, understanding their stated and unstated needs. Let's say I'm in the process of building a product. In that case, I'm trying to do my market study, market research, compete analysis, the product building, the execution part, etc. If my product requires me to talk to partners and make sure that my partners succeed, then there could be times when I'm spending a lot of time with my partners to make sure that my product is extensible so that my partners can leverage from the product. And team goes always there, right? Like for example, whenever I'm building a product, my team may be small, big, etc. But eventually the success of my product and team relies on the vision that we build for the product. Therefore, my own team, that would not only be my engineering team or my PM counterparts, but also other system teams, dependent teams who are dependent on my capabilities, or teams who are dependent on me, the UX team, the research team, etc., making sure that I take them along while I'm building the product. So the core areas are these 4. The PM qualities as such, something that is available all over the internet as to what are the PM soft skills and hard skills that one should be aware of. But at a very large scale, these are the places where I'm spending most of my time.
Great, great.
Any other questions?
No, right now I'm good.
Alrighty. Neha, thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
And I'm going to come out of the interviewer's mode and I'm going to ask you, how did your interview go? What do you think?
I think you are still recording.
I want to record this because I'm just going to be debriefing the entire interview.
Okay.
How did it go? I wanted to understand from you.
I feel that I'm not very sure. I went too much into a scientific angle of the product because I don't know, I could have done a very different way of doing it, but because I come from a pharma as well as science background. So my natural inclination of take this this problem was to come with a mass spectrometry. I don't know whether this was that you expected. So maybe you were asking for a very non-scientific, simple way of handling this thing. So I have no idea that how did I do.
Got it.
But
Understood.
once I took a stand, I took a stand and I knew in my heart कि अब तो ले लिया, अब तो ले लिया, तो जो भी ले लिया इसी को डिफेंड करना है. I can't take a step back. कि I will change a product altogether, and I did it.
Got
So
it.
I can't comment on that. How did I do?
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
So let's debrief the entire interview. I have taken down notes. Okay. So a very good habit of a candidate for an interview is to relay the understanding of the problem, which exactly what you did, right? You wanted to make sure you said, so the objective is high quality food for our children. Anything else? And I said no. And that means that you have internalized the problem very well. You are not saying anything different from what I am saying. So I was assured that you've understood the problem. Um, Immediately after that, you asked me some probing questions. You just didn't start blurting out a solution. That was again great. And your first question was, what do you even mean by quality? And then you again reiterated your understanding of what I mean by quality. It's full of nutrients. I don't know what constitutes bad quality. It should be free of adulterant, but I don't know what's an adulterant, etc., etc. Again, great way to begin an interview. Again, I'll be focusing on the structure of the interview, not necessarily the data points, right? And then you're like, all right, I think so. I've understood the problem. I think so. I have to think about my customer, for which I need to take a few minutes. And you took a few minutes. You took exactly 2 minutes. Brilliant. That's exactly what you should do while beginning. If you need some time, take some time. I've seen a lot of candidates who just start blurting out an answer, and that may not be the right way. Maybe you had a structure in mind. You wanted to make sure that structure fits in well. And if that is what you were doing, it fitted very well. Okay. So, however, having said that, we were 9 minutes into the interview by the time I have just narrated what I have said, right? That what do we mean by quality, and asking me probing questions. We were exactly 9 minutes in. I thought we had spent 4 minutes too much. Okay. So I took down time as we were proceeding with each section. Then you said, let's talk about the pain points. But so far your structure was acting out very well. The very first thing that you started with was the customer segmentation. It was articulated very, very well. I wanted to probe you further, but I immediately thought that you've got your structure well aligned. Okay. So I didn't probe you any further on the customer segmentation. You said, my consumer is my child, but my parent is my customer. They are well educated, 25 to 35. I wanted to question you on some of these things, but I did not, because I thought that you've got the horses are aligned. Like you have your act well done together. You very clearly said that was a MasterCard where you said you are not aware of your dietary requirements. As a parent, I don't know what is good and bad, and that's where the product comes. It's an urban parent. Then you clarified it could be semi-urban or rural as well. But I got your point. Your moot point was an educated parent who does not know the dietary needs, who does not understand what adulterants are. And then you also commented on the wallet size. Of course, we are talking to parents who are willing to pay a premium for some of these food items, right? I might as well, if I know that, yeah, 30 rupee papaya is not working for me, maybe I'll go buy a 50 rupee papaya, but I should be willing to do that. So you talked about wallet size, calorific value. You talked about people who may be consuming milk powders. I didn't quite get the connection between milk powders, and therefore I just let it go. But the moot point landed very clear that you've got your customer segment done. For anyone who's starting an interview, get your customer segment well understood, because your problem will be based on that. So very, very well done there. Few things that I noted here, and I don't know what was going in your mind. There was a lot of repetition where you talked about the characteristics, you talked about affordability, you talked about not being aware of adulterants, you talked about being educated. These 4 points you repeated around 3 times. Okay. So, and I was like, yeah, I got it. Let's move. Because I had already at the back of my mind that we've spent 4 minutes too much in probing questions, etc. So I was like, okay, we are now, this is wasting time, right? Let's get on, get on. And then you said clarification of what the problem is now. That is the parents do not know what they need. Yeah. So that was again a repetition. Quite interestingly, we were hitting the 16-minute mark here. Okay, so I have noted down, and in my opinion, we were again 3 minutes too much. So 4 minutes up plus 3 minutes, we were already 7 minutes late by the time we reached here. However, once you started stating the solution, and I think so, this is where you said, I want some time for thinking, and you took 4 minutes for thinking as well. Okay, so you are already in my mind, you are 11 minutes late into the interview. But that 4 minute wait time was a master stroke. You took those 4 minutes. I was about, had you hit the fifth minute, I would have interrupted and I would have said, hey Neha, why don't you say whatever is going through your mind? Because I am also cognizant of your time. I don't want you to think so much, as a result of it, the interview gets sacrificed. But those 4 minutes, I think so, was time very, very well spent. I had zero idea you were getting into the spectrometer. I have no idea about spectrometers. So I could not ask you any probing questions on the science side of the product. However, the solution that you came up with was very creative. I loved the idea. I was thinking more myopic in my mind. Like, of course, I was also thinking of a solution. My solution would have been more myopic. Your solution was more broad. Go buy anything that you want to buy. Check it. And now once you check it, now maybe now so many possibilities open up. The parent maybe will stop going to that mandi or that shop or that particular grocery store or that supermarket if he finds that repeatedly the food is not good. Maybe I will go change my shops. Maybe I will give that feedback to the shopkeeper saying, oh, this food is not good, etc., etc. But so many possibilities opened up when you turn the dice on the problem on its head and you said, I'm going to hand over a device to a parent where you insert it inside a fruit, or you take a piece of the fruit and put on the top of it, and then you can figure out what is the nutritional value. I love the creativity of the solution. I felt so much in love with it that I felt that this is full marks on creativity there. Okay, so I love that. Okay, and you did not restrict yourself to that problem. You went a little further. You said, I can recommend nutrition. I can tell you dietary deficiencies, or I can tell you how to have a balanced diet, etc., etc. You went on on what more could be done. And at that time, I was trying to picturize the device, and you helped me picturize the device. That was great, and I've written, it was a very creative idea. I love that. And again, other ideas, sample as X% protein carbohydrates leading to deficiency, etc. One thing I didn't understand, while you were saying this, immediately after giving such a bombastic creative idea, you said, I'm sorry for all the scientific things that I'm saying. Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay. I wrote lack of confidence.
Okay.
I don't know what you were sorry for. In my mind, it's going through, whoa, good answer, good answer, good answer. You were judging yourself during the interview, I guess. Don't do that. That's why I immediately asked you, how do you think your interview went? The reason I asked you this question is because you said sorry for the scientific things. Okay. That's why I'm saying anybody who is attempting an interview, never, ever, 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 ever judge yourself in the interview. You have zero idea how your interview is going. Maybe you're hitting one home run after the other. There could be an interviewer who may just interrupt you midway into your thought process and ask you another question. You may think that, oh, maybe I did something wrong here. Maybe the interview interrupted because I was saying something wrong. You have no idea. Maybe the interview interrupted because you said something which was so bang on that the interview feels like, let's move forward. Let's probe more. Let's scratch the surface more. Maybe the candidate will make a mistake here or there or here or there, and therefore I will keep asking you more questions. That's another style of interview. Never judge yourself. Okay? So no sorries. Never use the word sorry in your interview ever, ever, ever again. Okay? Your answers were so good. My next question was, what could be the success metrics? You said, oh, hang on, I need to talk. You said, I'm sorry for the scientific things, but I need to talk about the scientific metrics or the success metrics of the product. Great. It just shows that you are thinking of the product holistically. You're not just thinking science. You're also thinking about how do I make sure that my product is successful. And you talked about false positives, false negatives. You talked about how many times the nutrition works, etc. And because this product was so scientific in nature, I asked you about the go-to-market strategy to figure out what do you do? Do you want to wait until this product is the best in the market and then launch, which could take 3 years, or do you want to do something incremental? You talked about it. You said I want to go to one geography. Maybe I'll start with just one product. Maybe I'll start with just milk and see how it goes, etc. Acha, one interesting thing that happened here, right? I almost wrote, you said some people cannot afford the cost of the device, but the quality of adulteration is different in different items. Milk is one, and parents need milk, and there's a difference on solids and liquids, etc., etc. You said a lot, and I said lost in thoughts. I wrote that. But immediately after that, right, you came back and tied everything together. You said, oh, the reason I'm saying all of this is my product will test for milk first. And then I removed lost in thoughts because I realized you're not lost in thoughts. You're just building up a story to tell me that my go-to-market strategy is I'll start off with one item, which could have come this way. What I just said. That my go-to-market strategy is I want to start off with just one product so that I can ship early, get an understanding from the customer whether it's working, not working. Maybe I'll start with a smaller cohort of customers, maybe just 15 in my apartment to see, and maybe recent mothers or fathers to see whether that one product which they all use, which by the way is milk, right? And then it hits the point hard. So isme we spent 7 minutes on this answer. What will be your go-to-market strategy? Because I actually wrote whack, lost in thoughts. Then I removed lost in thoughts and I said she tied it together. Got it? So this is absolutely not not something that went bad in this interview. Absolutely not. It was. I will take that as a positive point because it was like a thriller movie. Huh? That something is happening, suddenly everything got tied together. So it came as a very good thing for me. You may want to look out for if that is a repeated habit because that's called the way we communicate, right? That are you able to speak with brevity? Okay? So that's one thing that you need to think through. Again, a very good answer. Biggest challenge while building your product. So you talked about science, etc., and the adulteration. Oh, by the way, this point. What if the adulteration is done by people, the adulteration in the product to make the adulteration look bad? That was again a great answer. I had no idea where that came from. I was not expecting that. Another answer on the children changing from geographies, food changing from geographies, the scientific bread that needs to be applied. Spot on, like big tick mark. So I would give you 10 on 10 on your creativity. The way you were thinking, the way your intellectual horsepower to get your answers out, the level at which you were thinking, the depth in which you were thinking, which is not just science. Huh? You were thinking customer, you were thinking market, you're thinking product launch, etc. Great answers all this while. Huh? How will you know whether the reading is correct or not? I thought I will stump you with this question because practically there is no way for us to validate because we just said that the customer has zero idea about the adulterants. The only right answer was what you said. I don't think so there's a better answer. Maybe if there is better, then I would love to hear that. Because if I say that this papaya is appearing red, it may be green, maybe our device is malfunctioning. I have no other idea, other way to validate. And this is where again you brought in science, something that is your stronghold, to say, oh, by the way, maybe I'm doing X with my current spectrometer. Maybe I can do X plus Y in my lab. So send me the sample, I will validate X plus Y. Again, I felt that was a very good answer. Where will you go store the data? And I think so APIs. Yahan thoda gadbad hua. This is where I think so you lost some, and I written stumped here. Okay, so this is where I think so you were not able to join the dots. Until here, your interview was very, very good. My feedback for the next interview would be validate her on her technical skills.
Okay.
And I would write that the way you think, approach a problem, the way you think both broad and deep into a particular problem, your creativity, etc., is very good. That's my feedback to my next interviewer. I'm not sure about the technical skills.
All right. So I think you got it very right. I have got 2-3 days to do my work. I am by job a management consultant these days. So I'm working on all these market, product launch, GTM, user segment, customer segment. That's what my staple bread and butter. So if you throw me these problems, I can solve it. So technical design right now, when you asked me that question, I am totally out of touch for I don't know more than a year now, and um, that's where I gave a very I know how to work. I don't my mind is not able to recall the right words. So I said that typical internet packages that it will send and come back, but I'm unable to say a system architecture where I will put up a, and still I'm unable to use that word, that there would be a relayer which will send that package, a host and a client server, client host architecture and all that stuff. So my second interview, I think that will definitely bring me down, and I need to
So Neha,
prepare.
here is my piece of advice for you. I think so. The good thing is that you know, okay? But the
Yeah.
bad thing is also that you know. Because of which what will happen is as soon as this question comes right, your mind will shut down.
Correct, that
You
happened.
will you will start telling yourself, oh shit, this is exactly what I don't want. This is exactly what I don't know. Whatever answer I give will be shitty. So it won't work for me. This is the problem of knowing upfront that you don't know. As soon as APIs or system architecture, anything like that comes, your mind will start telling you this is my Achilles heel, I will not be able to perform. So let me stitch this answer back to something that you're very strong with. Shall I do it? Shall I experiment with
Yeah,
you for 5 minutes so that you're able to answer this question with the same level of confidence that the first 47 minutes of the meeting went?
sure.
Okay. My question was, let's draw the architecture diagram of this spectrometer, right? Okay. What do you mean by architecture diagram? You're a PM. You need to understand how the customer interacts with the product. Is that clear?
Correct.
Okay. Now you are strong in customer. I'm going to create a design for you keeping that customer in mind. Okay.
Right.
So here is the design. This is my product. The product has some slot on which I keep my papaya. As
Correct.
soon as I keep my papaya and I press a button, what is going through my mind? I need the reading right now, right?
Right.
I have pressed the button, I need the reading right now. So there is as you said, there's a spectrometer inside which is doing its analysis. It
Yes.
needs connection to Wi-Fi because maybe that spectrometer has only half the information. The spectrometer can validate the wavelength of my product, but it can't tell you the element. Therefore, the Wi-Fi connected device, one, it has to have a Wi-Fi. One, the Wi-Fi connected device has to contact my server, which has the information about the wavelength and the elements in a relational database.
Right.
It has to be a database, right?
Right.
When this API hits my backend, API aa gaya, because the communication will happen over API. You don't need to get into internet protocols here.
Right.
The backend has to be very responsive in sending back the data. Now
Correct.
just imagine, when you're sending this data over to the server, what all data it should contain? It should, as you very rightly said, it should contain my papaya. So there has to be an interface which says, what are you testing? PAPAYA. It has to send the wavelength. It has to send my user ID. It has
Yes.
to send, because how would you know that it is for my elder son or my younger son? So there has to
Right.
be an interface which allows me to set that I am going to feed it to my 11-year-old, because maybe 11-year-olds can eat a little bit of adulterant, but a 1-year-old cannot. Therefore, my recommendation has to be accordingly, right? Okay, so it's saying that this is for my elder son. The age is 11 years, so there is some information about my profile. There has to be a timestamp. The timestamp has to be very important because if the data is coming at 5 a.m., then I have to send the response back by 5 a.m. 30 seconds. If it is getting any delayed, I need to show a spinner here. Just imagine, I'm just thinking user, right? User's perspective. So timestamp has to go. Once the data hits back, what is it that I'm sending back from the server? I am sending just maybe red or green along with the timestamp, which means as soon as I come, it shows green or red, etc. And the information comes here. Maybe there is some feedback which says that accepted, denied, some kind of interface by which I am able to accept your recommendation. Whatever acceptance has happened, that or it should say that I am happy with this particular feedback and I shall feed this papaya to my child. Something like that, right? I click on that I shall feed this papaya to my child button, where you know that the parent is happy with the recommendation. That information again goes back to the backend. Now there was one database or one table which had information on wavelength and all the items. There has to be another table which contains my elder son's information, which will contain my elder son's name, his ID, his age, and the fact that at 5 a.m. I fed him a papaya, the recommendation made by me, and that papaya had these calorific values. And every time I feed, it goes back into that user database.
Correct.
Right? Now, when the second recommendation happens, which says that, hey, it's 7 a.m. Pop up, time for your child to eat breakfast. You have already fed 80 calories of food to your child today. Now you may want to feed him these 5 options. Right. Imagine that word. How is that recommendation happening? There has to be a recommendation engine in the backend.
Correct.
What does the recommendation engine? Now just see, your design is completely based on what the user is seeing. The recommendation engine, what will the recommendation engine feed from? It will feed from that database which says my elder son who's 11 years old has eaten a papaya at 5 a.m. Therefore, 90% of the children who eat papaya at 5 a.m. also eat, I don't know, a toast and a cheese at 9 a.m. Therefore, would you like to try feeding a toast and a cheese to your child today? Calorie value 350. How did you get 350? From the other database which says toast and cheese is 350 calories. So there's a third database. You see how things are just stitching together? You are always thinking from the user's perspective, and in the back end, your structure, your system is completely building up slowly. Right? I also answered your API question. You're not just sending wavelength and item name. You're also sending timestamp, user ID, and much more information. And as I keep building these scenarios, I'll keep adding more and more information into the API.
Right.
Work on your current strength of understanding the customer. If you continue working on your strength of understanding the customer, you'll be able to create the design also. You just have to think, while you are sending this information, that information gets stored somewhere, needs to be computed somewhere, and needs to be sent back to the device somehow.
Sure.
Okay. So work on your strength. Somehow I feel if next time this question comes, you may feel bogged down. So I have 2 tips for you as well. I don't know whether I gave you these tips earlier as well. So one, again, think from the customer's journey back and forth, how the customer journey is happening. Therefore, go design your system. Number 2, if you haven't done that yet, read the system architecture design for Netflix and Airbnb.
Yes.
Okay. That will give you a good perspective. At least you'll be able to use terms like you will know when to use a relational database, when to use a graph database, when to use a recommendation engine, when to go use cache, right? What is your compute engine, etc. Okay. So that will at least give you the building blocks that you should think of these building blocks. Maybe your answer could be, I don't think so. I need a cache here. Why? Because Netflix, you learned what a cache is meant for. Maybe I need a strong computing engine. Why? Because there's a lot of computation happening. Why? Because Netflix taught you that for recommendation engine, they have a strong computing engine. And guess what? This requires a recommendation engine.
Right.
And that is enough. Like, stay at those levels. Again, keep thinking from the customer's perspective. Your system architecture design will be very easy. And you are strong at that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Overall, I think so. This interview went very well. I loved the way you traversed through the interview. I love that you stuck to your structure, and I love that you had relevant data into your structure. I would strongly suggest next 2 days, think about architecture diagrams, think about how APIs are written. Every single freaking product has APIs. You want to see WhatsApp APIs, open up WhatsApp developer portal. See, first thing from your perspective, when you send a message from one user to another, what all would be going in that API? Write it down. Then look at WhatsApp API and then say, oh yeah, of course, this is necessary. Of course, this is necessary. Oh, of course, I totally forgot this. This is necessary. So you can actually see the API structures. You can open up any product. You'll be able to see its API structure. That will help you build a perspective on APIs. Read some system architecture designs. It will give you a perspective on, don't just read, oh, there's a cache. Oh, there's a Cosmos DB. And then there is a information which is getting stored somewhere else. No, don't do that. Why? Why do you need a cache? Why do you need a relation database? Why do you need a graph database? Ask that question and then you'll be able to join the dots.
Sure.
I'll
do. Yes.
One very important thing. Do you have a question for me? Don't ask question on what are the PM qualities.
Okay.
Ask questions, any question that you have thought through. Search it on the internet. If the answer is available on the internet, don't ask the interviewer.
Okay. So I have the question about the diversity in the Microsoft.
Great question to ask. Fantastic question to ask, because internet is not providing you information on what is happening inside Microsoft or any company for which you are applying.